Jeremy deleted his Twitter, but he gets an awful lot of information off of it, doesn't he? I know what y'all are saying. I know what my haters are saying. My dedicated downvoters, and I really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for showing up hating on me. It's just Steve's fishing for clicks. Steve's fishing for clicks. He's going to talk about Jeremy. I just talked about the gospel according to Mark of the Sea, and now I'm doing a video about Jeremy Griggs. It's not really about Jeremy, but it is. It isn't, but it is. So, earlier today, I was on the Sunday Culture Review over on Culture Casino's channel. Go check that out. His link is in the description below. Please subscribe to all of the people who are in the link in this description. They're all a part of something called Rogue Entertainment. It's kind of an loose affiliation of people that are working together. They're people that come onto my live streams. They're good people. Some of the best people I've ever met in a fandom. Many fandoms at this point. And they all built channels. Not all of them are Fandom Menace. Not all of them have to be. I don't care about a hashtag. Not like that. I care about the fandom. And those people have stood with me. We were all inspired at one point or another by someone else in this hashtag we call the Fandom Menace. It all comes down to culture. With the culture of your associations or friendships, or whether it's your company or whether it's your brand or whatever it is. It comes down to culture. It comes down to the values that are imparted to each other and what they mean. See, fandom used to be about escape. It used to be about getting away from the bullies. It used to be about coming together with other people who loved something and sharing your love for that. Fandoms have always had their problems. Always have people with different points of view, people from different backgrounds, people who can't let go of ists or isms. Let's be real. And there's always been people who are more of a fan than others because they know more or because they have this point of view. Like, we've had this. We've dealt with this before, but something new happened. Something entirely different happened when Kathleen Kennedy assumed control of Lucasfilm. It's put there by George Lucas. Got to remind ourselves of that. Something changed when she hired who she hired, the direction she wanted to take that company, and what she wanted to do with it. And it wasn't honoring the legacy and the lore of George Lucas. She lied straight to his face, unless he knew she was lying. He did put her there. Kathleen Kennedy's company culture has been about division. It's been about sexism. She sees everything in terms of sex. She sees everything in terms of race. And Kathleen Kennedy has not hired people based on qualifications. She doesn't hire people based on the merit of their character. She hires you because you're a certain gender, or you vote a certain way, or you carry her ideals. And her ideals are trash. Sexist and racist trash. And the company culture that she instilled not only sought to drive off the original fandom, the legacy fandom, whatever you want to call yourself, pre-Disney Star Wars fandom, but called them a bunch of 50-year-olds and didn't want to cater to them. We know this. We have this information. She didn't care about honoring the legacy and lore of what came before her. She cared about pressing an agenda. There's a lot of fans out there that say Disney Star Wars sucks and they don't recognize the problem with agenda. probably because they co-signed to that and they're blind to the fact that those people that say that they agree with you, they don't care about you. But if you're being real about it, the agenda has always come first. They don't care. Get woke, go broke. They don't care. They don't care. Never have. And when people stood up and spoke out against The Last Jedi, which was a cinematic middle finger, that's what it is. Rian Johnson wanted to piss off half the audience. That's his idea of a great film. He pissed off more than half the audience. The objective of the sequel trilogy under Kathleen Kennedy was to eject the fans of yesteryear. People who came from various backgrounds all across the world, cultures, subcultures. People who found friends in their love for Star Wars that overcame prejudices and misconceptions. Not because they was talking about their color or their gender, but because they loved a common thing, and that bridged a gap. That brought people together. Kathleen Kennedy's company culture is the exact opposite. Shaming you. That's what it's about. Shaming you. You don't follow our ideology? Shame on you. You don't hate this group of people? Shame on you. That's all it's been about for years now. I see this video from Geeks and Gamers. It's right there. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Pablo Hidalgo makes fun of Star Wars theory for Luke Skywalker reaction. Lucasfilm hates fans. Jeremy's talking about this this tweet. Star Wars theory. Pablo chimes in to make fun, deletes the tweet, then puts one of them on his header. How is this acceptable from someone so high up at Lucasfilm? You're telling people it's not okay to have emotions about the work your company produces, and you make fun of them for crying. Not okay. And then Jeremy goes into his goes into his feelings, his fifis on this, and I want you to go watch it because that inspired this. This is a follow-up to that. Kind of. Star Wars Theory is the king Star Wars channel on YouTube. He's the biggest Star Wars channel on YouTube. He's the reigning champ. And I've watched Star Wars Theory in the past. Loved the Vader fan film, brother. Loved that. And at the time, I forgave you. I'm not going to say bordering on shilling. I'm not going to say that. Being friendly. Having to be being forced into a position where you had to be friendly in order to get that made and put out. Did you notice? I don't even remember the name of the company, but the one that tried to strike you, the one that tried to take your advertising revenue from your fan film, that beautiful fan film, and everyone who worked on that fan film, mad respect to you. Mad respect. No matter what you think of me or the Fandom Menace, mad respect to you. That was beautiful. But do you remember the outcry? It wasn't just from your fans. There's a lot of us over here in the Fandom Menace don't really care for you all that much. But we stood up. We stood up for you. Stood up for that piece of art, that wonderful piece of art that most of us really enjoyed. I enjoyed it so much I showed it to people who don't even fucks with YouTube. That's what happens when you get a fandom behind you. There was this time, Star Wars Theory, back after The Last Jedi. You know, you felt it. You expressed yourself. You expressed your true feelings about The Last Jedi a few months back, and I did a video on that. The heartbreak of a fandom, I think I called it. That it represented the heartbreak of a fandom, because although it was belated, a belated response, a very, very belated response, it was a proper response. Didn't take in all the factors. Because Theory, your Star Wars channel, you've read all the quotes that come out Disney Lucasfilm, everything Kennedy has said, everything that her henchmen have said, all her woke hires. You've heard all that. You've got the same information, maybe even more information due to your position than I do about what's been happening for years now at Disney Lucasfilm under Kathleen Kennedy. And yet it takes Pablo Hidalgo, who's been coming at the necks of the fandom you are a part of, the fandom that in some respects you are a leader of, been coming at us for years, coming at our necks. Now, I feel for you. Honest to God, Star Wars Theory, I feel for you. That's not okay. The reaction that you had, about the same reaction I had. As a matter of fact, my son had seen The Mandalorian before I had a chance to watch it. Came in to watch that scene with me because he understood what it meant to me to get some kind of ghostly representation of Luke Skywalker, one that we should have gotten long ago, along with all the original cast while they were still with us. Rest in peace, y'all. Where were you? Where were you before that? I'm not trying to take nothing away from you, but where have you been? Now he came at you and now it's not cool? I spoke about Rogue Entertainment earlier. These people, these friends of mine, we have come out of a culture that was created. An unsaid rules and unsaid ways of conduct. That, there's no papers that go out in the Fandom Menace. There's nobody at the top. There's nobody giving out work orders and directional commands. Nothing like that. Fandom Menace is a collective of individuals who happen to carry a hashtag, and every time somebody says that the Fandom Menace is dead, I have to laugh. I will tell you why. This group, my little group, well, like 16 people, cats, and I'm friends with many, many more, and their groups, and their lunch tables, if you will, and their cliques, and what they're building. All of us were inspired by these voices, these tiny channels, these nobody channels, basically. Some of them that had been grinding, that stood up after The Last Jedi came out and took the heat from people like Pablo and took the heat from the shill media and other people on YouTube that co-signed to the narrative of us being hateful isinphobes, some of whom you chill with. Don't think that isn't unnoticed. This culture that was created was natural. It's created by good people standing up, realizing and recognizing that for all our differences, the fandoms that we were once a part of, that we are still a part of, but the fandom cultures that we were a part of that accepted everyone was no longer the norm. And that the things that these fandoms loved were being used to attack them. It's obvious. It's plain as day. You've read as much material as me, probably more. But it took this. That culture that was created on the High Council with world-class Jeff Hicks, EVS, and I don't even really like EVS, but mad respect to EVS, and Jeremy Griggs. That started something that many fans have gravitated to, that inspired people to create channels, to write books, to create blogs. Hail, Ichibaka. Holding the line, steady, unforgiving, and refusing to kneel. Hail, brother. I remember when Jeremy was less than 1,000 subs. I remember when he was not this dude that you see. He was not this dude. He was a dude that was afraid to speak his mind. And before I go into this, I just want to say, I consider myself friends with Jeremy, but we don't talk. We used to talk back in the day when everything was first starting out. He wanted to know what my book was about. I was very plain with him. I told him I didn't want nothing from him but friendship. And he decided to help promote the Fandom Menace volumes. And because of him, I've been able to get to this point because he gave me that push right at the beginning. Now, I didn't make the cut. I didn't make the Geeks and Gamers cut, but I don't care, because people that started out with me, like Lethal Lightning and Drunk 3PO, they did. And I revel in my brother's success because of the culture that was created in the Fandom Menace, one that is very, very misunderstood by people who hate us. It was set down by this guy who started speaking his mind. And speaking his mind cost him contacts. It cost him the ability to potentially become a shill, to have access, to become access media, to toe the narrative, to be one of them. You know who I'm talking about. Star Wars Theory. You chill with some of them. But he didn't. He spoke his mind. He stood up for the fans, the people who were pushed out of this fandom by Kathleen Kennedy's company culture and the fantivists that it generated. Not fans. Let me explain this. Fans are people that come together for the common enjoyment of a franchise. They come together to celebrate, talk about, have a good time. The focus is the escapism. Fantivists are people that want to talk about their genitals and what they do with their genitals, and if they recognize their genitals, and if they're going to mutilate their genitals, and if you have a problem with it, then you are a Nazi. Those are fantivists. And I'm not saying all people who like Disney Star Wars are fantivists. If you like Disney Star Wars and you haven't come at anyone's neck, then, you like what you like. Ryan Cannell, 2020, you like what you like. That's some real talk. But those aren't the people that I've seen. The hate mobs that have been generated, the cancel culture that has been generated or inflated, because cancel culture was around before that. It created Comicsgate. EVS stood up against cancel culture, and he imparted values of himself into two different hashtags, Comicsgate and the Fandom Menace. EVS refuses to kneel, no matter what I may think of him, no matter what you may think of him. He refuses to kneel, and he has imparted values that are still held to this day in Comicsgate. It's so big now, it's got different lunch tables. It's so big now, all these creators forging new empires, supporting one another. Yeah, they mix it up a little bit over there. Let's be real, they do mix it up. But they support one another, and the customer comes first. The backer of your campaign, the person who supports your work, they come first. No matter what you may think of EVS, whatever I may think. He set that down to us. That positive culture. And that permeates in the Fandom Menace because he helped to raise us. Rising together, showing himself, building himself up, using his channel to help other people at the time. Anybody at the time. And then Jeremy Griggs. And Jeremy Griggs imparted his company culture, the Geeks and Gamers company culture, into this thing. I know this video is long as shit. Oh, this is what it is. I've had to do some research on Geeks and Gamers. I haven't talked to Jeremy, because Jeremy and I don't talk no more. He gave me a boost for my book, patted me on the head, and had other stuff to do. I'll always love that man for giving me that little boost. Got me started. But I had to go and research. I didn't go to him. And what I found, which is documented in the Fandom Menace Volume 2, first chapter being The High Council, is that Jeremy hires people based on the merit of their work, what they bring to the table. Doesn't matter how they vote, who they sleep with, what they identify as, what opinion they have. All you need to do is have a positive company culture and be loyal. Positive. True diversity and inclusivity without even having to say it. And he imparted that. He imparted that onto me and everyone else. The Fandom Menace hashtag itself. Geeks and Gamers wove into that. And long after the time with that hashtag, it doesn't mean anything. When people ain't carrying it, people ain't talking about it. Long after that, whenever it's referenced, it will always have that DNA. We have watched this man build several channels. We have watched him build a team of some fine people, some good people, most of whom I am honored to call friend. Not because they're geeks and gamers, because they're good people. And totally rebuild his website, geeksandgamers.com, his true vision, his true dream. Hail to him. That's on him. It also speaks to all of the people that have supported him because he supported us. He stood up against the machine. He spoke out. He gave up opportunities. And not only that, all the first, what I call the first wave fandom menacers, those first fandom menacers, those are the people who built this. Jeff and Jesse and Anna and Mecca. Shout out to World Class and Midnight's Edge, who's been fighting this battle since before The Force Awakens. John Talks, SC Reviews. I love SC Reviews. I don't know if you're a fan of Menace or not, but I've always considered you that, and I've always followed you. I mean, and it didn't even matter. It didn't even matter, Star Wars Theory. It didn't even matter if you carried a hashtag. Shout out to all of the other YouTubers who've been calling this out, who are like, nah, I don't want to be associated with them. I get it. It's whatever, as long as you ain't attacking nobody. Shout out to Mauler and the EFAP crew. Shout out to everybody. Critical Drinker, and everybody. Everybody that has stood up and fought. But there's a special place in my heart, you see. There's a special place in my heart, Star Wars Theory, for people who continue, people who built the fandom menace. A group of individuals from all across the world who just simply carry a hashtag together, standing united, fighting for the right to have an opinion and to get your politics out of our escapism. I think it's perfectly fitting in my mind, having seen all of the players in the game unfold and all their moves unfold over the last several years, that Jeremy speak this message. Because where have you been, Star Wars Theory? I'm not trying to take nothing away from you. You're a fan. You're definitely a fan. You make better content than myself on Star Wars. You're knowledgeable. I've come, like I said, I've watched you before. I've been a fan before. I don't really catch up with you now because I don't like looking at live streams with people who have called me a Nazi for no reason, and you're sitting there chilling with them. I don't get that. Those are the people that were attacking your brothers and sisters in the fandom. Pablo Hidalgo, for years, attacking your brothers and sisters in the fandom. And your culture was to remain neutral and do your thing. There were these channels, these little channels, like Geeks and Gamers, like World Class, like Neurotic, Mecca, Mindless, Anna. I remember when Anna first came on the scene. There are these people who stood up and put themselves, their professions, and their families at risk to be our voices in this war for our modern mythologies. They came right at cancel culture. People on the internet who will dox you, who will spread misinformation about you, who will label you, who will send hate mobs at you, supported by Kathleen Kennedy's company culture. Supported by people who laugh at you as a fan for getting joy out of something you love. They were the ones that did it. They inspired me. They imparted their culture, the way they treated one another, the way they represented themselves or their brands. They imparted those values upon me and thousands upon thousands of others, many of whom created their own channels and in turn continued those values. I'm not saying they were trying to do this. This is just who they were. And this is what came through. And a lot of these people, a lot of us out here, we don't like every single person in the Fandom Menace. We don't like every single Fandom Menace channel. It'd be crazy to think we like everybody. It'd be crazy. But we stand with each other. We refuse to kneel together. We fight for our right to have our various opinions. We debate. We get heated discussions. Sometimes we get angry at each other. But then I'm on Culture Casino's channel this morning with people like Atlantean that I've known, haven't had a chance to hang out with really that much. It's been Fandom Menace forever. For as long as I can remember, as long as I've known him. And seeing all these different names in the chat. Now, my chat's not as big as Nerderotic or Doomcock. Culture's isn't as big as Mechas or Midnight's Edges. You know, we're not that big. But you can see the culture continue on in these chats, with these groups, with these friends, with these channels, with these cliques. You can see this culture continue of supporting each other. Something that Jeremy imparted to us, EVS and Jeff. Everybody that's been on the High Council. Friday Night Tights, shout out to Friday Night Tights. And every other show, big and small, that has been started because we decided to stand together and fight for something that we loved. Star Wars. And then whether we're fighting to remember it and we're just not taking Disney Star Wars for anything, we don't want nothing Disney Star Wars. Those hardliners exist. Whether you're a person who has hope in the direction of Disney Star Wars and hopes that it gets better, it'll always just be Disney Star Wars. It didn't always just have to be Disney Star Wars. It became Disney Star Wars not when Disney bought it, but when Kathleen Kennedy created that company culture that spreads division and hate, that calls you an istinophobe, that calls you a man baby, that laughs at you for loving something, that lies to you and says, we're going to give you what you want, and then does the exact opposite, and then laughs at you because you're upset, because you don't vote a certain way, because you don't have pronouns in your bio, because you don't think exactly in the same terms they do. That created this rift. That created the Fandom Menace. You could have had that Star Wars theory. You could have had that energy behind you. You could have been the king. You could have come out the gate being like, no, this ain't right. What the hell did they just do? Shit, even Mike Zero does that. I don't even put much stock into Mike Zero, though he has been right on occasion. I don't even put, because he don't reference nothing. He don't reference no source materials or nothing. Like, he just starts a video and just starts talking about shit. You're like, where are you getting this? What do you do? What are you talking about? Still, respect to Mike Zero, though. Respect. But even he didn't carry a hashtag. He didn't need to. You wouldn't need to. I'm not saying that. You don't care if you carry a hashtag or not. We're all in this fandom together. Minus the fantivists. I don't recognize them. And that's not gatekeeping. That's just, look, if you got a website that talks more about Raylos and different points of gay and genital, what you're doing with your genitals and how and inclusion this and that you're not a fan of Star. You're an activist who happens to be a fan of this type of entertainment. Like, you're a fantivist. You're a fantivist. That's not gatekeeping. That's pointing out the truth. And okay, I'm gonna be real. I'll put a olive branch out to y'all, Raylos. Shipping has always been a thing. How many chicks from the OT wanted to get with Han Solo? Like, they love the OT. Like, let's be real. It's not about that. It's not about that, y'all Raylos, y'all shippers. It's not about that. It's when you want to force that on everybody else, and when that is the only thing you love about, like, this entire universe, this epic universe that was built. But if you haven't been attacking nobody, and there are Raylos out there who are not crazy, there are sequel trilogy fans out there who are not crazy, that are just fans, and hail to you. My problem is the company culture that was created under Kathleen Kennedy that turned Star Wars into Disney Star Wars. I mean, there always would have been some people that would have said, well, that's not Star Wars, Disney Star Wars. Like, even if they had done everything perfect, even if we had gotten George Lucas's original treatment, so even if we had gotten what we should have gotten, the original characters back together, the original actors back together, the focus being on the hero of the saga, Luke Skywalker, or at least the Skywalker line, if it had not been just a social justice mess of identity politics and identitarianism and intersectional this and words and phrases that I never cared to know. Never cared to even know. Don't care. You know why I don't care? Because if you ain't hurting nobody, I don't care how you live your life. But don't force that on me. Those types of fans that want to force that on you, cancel culture fans, they've been coming at our necks forever. They want to destroy your financial viability. They want to destroy your reputation. Jeremy Griggs has not only persevered that, but thrived in it. No matter what you think of him. Not everybody loves Jeremy Griggs. Not everybody loves Geeks and Gamers. No matter what you think of him, that's what he did. He grew. In my opinion, he has more of a right to talk shit to Pablo than you do. That's my opinion. And my opinion is based on people's actions over the last several years. That don't mean I think you're a piece of garbage. That don't mean I wish ill on you. That don't mean I'm trying to gatekeep and think you're not a fan. Dude, you're a fan. You're the king. You're the king of Star Wars channels on YouTube. You're the king. But where you been, man? Who's writing books about you? I'm sure you've inspired a few people to create channels because your content is good and informative. But have you inspired wave upon wave of people standing up for what they love and refusing to kneel? Dealing with people like Pablo Hidalgo and every single asshat at Disney Lucasfilm standing around the story group table talking about their genitals and what they do with their genitals and where they put their genitals and if they recognize their genitals and what they identify as, instead of thinking about Star Wars. Jeremy Griggs was doing that. He was fighting a monster. He fought a monolith of a company, gave up opportunities, created his own empire. You know, I give credit to the boys and girls in Comicsgate out there refusing to kneel, forging their own empires, creating their own universes, creating something for fans, generating enthusiasm in comics again. Hail to them. We need that. We also needed Jeremy. We also needed Jeff and Ethan, and Mecca, and SC, and John Talks, Anna, Doomcock. Hail, Lord Doomcock. Everybody, all of them. And if I left your name out, I'm sorry, because I know there's a bunch of us. And I know there's a bunch of channels that never found their footing, that have been around for years, haven't had that big explosion of subs. And if you're one of those channels, please hit me up, because I will get a quote from you. I will check out your material. I will look at your channel. I will see it. And if you've been making that material, and I will quote you in one of my books. I don't want to leave anybody out. It's just that, just like you, there's certain YouTubers I followed. So basically, Star Wars Theory, you know, I'm doing my best not to come down on you, because being who you are, in my opinion, being a tiny ass nobody channel, there's a measure of respect that you have acquired, that you have earned in the growth of your channel and who you are and your voice in the community. However, as much as it did hurt me to watch you talk about The Last Jedi and the sequel trilogy, and I made that video because it touched me. It was belated. And when I see Pablo Hidalgo coming at your neck, someone who has towed the line for the most part. I don't watch a lot of your material now, but you know, about a year ago, you towing the line. You gave your opinions, but you never stood with the fans. You never stood up for us. You could have been that voice. You could have helped to course correct Disney Lucasfilm. You could have helped us with that. Instead, because people like you didn't, And I'm not calling you a shill, but there are people in similar positions to yourself who definitely are and have been and co-signed with the narrative, the anti-fan Kathleen Kennedy company culture. But because none of y'all did that, we had to grow. Jeremy had to speak out. People like him. They had to speak out. They had to speak up. They had to put themselves on the line to be our voices. So you have to pardon me if Pablo laughing at you doesn't really do much to me at this point. Doesn't make me feel much at this point. Yeah, we're already used to that. That's Kathleen Kennedy. That's Disney Lucasfilm. That's the MO. That's what they about. With the possible exception of Jon Favreau. And what little hope I have is in him and people like Gina Carano. A different type of culture, a positive culture. I hope. I hope that you see this, dude. I know I'm a tiny channel. You know, I'm put you in the description. I'm going to put you in the tags. I'm definitely going to try and grab some of that algorithm off of you because I'm talking about you. But you probably won't. Maybe you will see this. And all I'm saying is, I don't wish no ill for you. I understand that. But where have you been? And why is this new to you? Why is this news? Why is this reaction a shock to you? Did you feel like some of them shows at Collider that you were protected? I'm not saying you were begging for scraps from the mouse. I'm not saying that. But that you were protected because you towed a certain narrative? No. Pablo hates you. Hates the fans. Kathleen Kennedy hates the fans. People that she hired, her woke hires, hate the fans. They have no interest in us. This has been a thing. And the reaction to that has been one of the most powerfully creative, interconnected, independent communities of creators that have come together and created a positive culture, a positive fandom that the haters hate so much they gotta label us with names and try and cancel us and come at us all the time. That's a taste, Star Wars Theory. That's a taste. It's good that you cried when you saw Luke. I did too. When any of us that were able to have that reaction at this point in time, after all the bullshit we've been through, that we're able to have that reaction, deserved that reaction. Because it's years too late. And it's vindication. But understand that the reason you got to cry, the reason you got to feel that moment, the reason Pablo had the right to laugh at you is because of the fandom menace. Everyone who stood up for you and our fellow fans in the Star Wars fandom, speaking their mind, putting their necks out, putting their careers on the line. It was because of us, the vanguard in this fight for our modern mythologies. So you're welcome. On behalf of my brothers and sisters, I don't speak for them, but for those that feel the same way, on behalf of them, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome for that moment. That moment you didn't stand up for, that you didn't fight for. You're welcome. I know this was a long one. Thank you guys for sticking through this. I just felt like talking. I felt like doing felt like I was on a Young Ripper live stream, just Young Ripper just, talking and talking. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Please check out all of the channels in the description below. These are all people that could use some subs, that care about your opinion, will stand up for your right to have an opinion, will definitely debate you if they feel different, but they're all about the fandom. Rogue Entertainment, all about the fandom. Just like the Fandom Menace, all about the fandom. And just like every person out there who may not have a lunch table yet, may not have a click yet, maybe just starting out your channel, your blog, whatever it is. Keep fighting, keep going, keep making content, reach out to people. You will find a group of friends in this wonderfully huge and wonderful place to be. You will find that clique of people. You will find like-minded individuals. And you will have fun talking about the things you love and fighting against politics and our escapism. Or whatever angle you take, whatever angle you want to take with it. As long as it's pro-fandom, right? It doesn't really matter. I would hope, I can only speak for myself and those that I began my channel with, and the people that I call friends to this day, and even some of the ones that that those friendships didn't last, but they still carry the same values. Understand the culture that I believe, the unsaid rules, the unsaid culture that was set down by the people who have been fighting for our modern myths and all those that came after. You don't attack other YouTubers. You don't come in anybody's family. Keep your problems in-house. Keep your trash in-house. Don't give any hater the ability to spy a weakness and begin to chip away at it because they grifting and they didn't grow, or they just hate you for whatever reason. You know, there's haters in every village. Keep a positive mindset. Grow together. Look out for one another. And be good to each other. I am author Stephen Walton, the Fandom Menace historian, telling you to keep fighting. Because whether you still like Disney Star Wars or not, seeing Luke is a result of us. We, the fans. Peace.
The main thing is to protect these characters. Make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them. And that the universe of Star Wars continues to grow.
By 2018, far-left extremists in Hollywood had been perverting long-established, profitable science fiction properties as platforms to espouse divisive social propaganda. The vision of these creatives was to repurpose established franchises in the hopes of indoctrinating viewers into the bigoted groupthink of the American far-left ideology. Insanely wealthy producers and adult pretenders set to shame any fan who would not capitulate to their false narratives of virtue, using long-established weight in the legacy media to drive online hate mobs to attack any who dared speak against the woke narrative. Yet there were those who would not kneel before this oligarchy of money, media, and extremism. Those who had known the truth. Fandom is for everyone. The Fandom Menace Volume 2 covers the events of the year 2018 as a group of independent creators rose up together, inspiring the Star Wars fandom to speak out against the flagrant misuse of a property that was not meant to inspire division, but hope. Volume 2 will cover the voices who spoke out against cancel culture, such as the Gospel According to Mark with a C.
Thank God for Star Wars fans. If only Rian Johnson had said the same thing.
Mecha Random 42.
Star Trek, to me, is a hopeful, optimistic view of the future.
With chapters written by Stephanie Janicek, Smuggler's Cantina.
They're not answering any of the questions that the real fans want to know.
Jesse Milestone of Mindless Entertainment.
And I'm going to warn you right now, this here thing you're about to watch is probably going to involve a lot of yelling and a decent amount of swearing.
Itchy Baka of Disney Star Wars is dumb.
But this doesn't explain why, after Disney's acquisition of Star Wars, George would attend the premieres of The Force Awakens, Rogue One, The Last Jedi, and Solo.
And the Overlord himself, Dictor Van Doomcock.
Greetings, my friends. Our pop culture is under assault by corporations who would rather destroy our cultural heritage than build respectfully upon it.
This is an historical documentation of a group of people in the late 2000 teens who would not bow to the very worst in humanity, seeking to separate us along political lines while using our beloved modern mythologies to do so. They did not kneel. Will you? The Fandom Menace Volume 2, Rise of the Rebellion.